host, Jimmy Fallon!
Hello, my name is Jimmy Fallon, your host of The Tonight Show. Tonight we have some very important guests, the famously infamous Colin Kaepernick and the political icon Abigail Adams. Tonight we will be discussing the hot topic that is influencing high school sports across the country. But before we get into it, let's take a sneak peek into both sides. Let's take a look.
I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place mission first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom, freedom.
So, Colin, tell me, what is your purpose behind your actions and how do you feel about high schoolers imitating you?
Yeah, dude, I've always felt very strongly about equal rights, and I didn't think I should stand for a song that represents a country that doesn't support minority groups like mine. As for high schoolers following my lead, I'm very proud that my actions are getting awareness and that these high schoolers are brave enough to take the need for equality.
And Abby, obviously you are very, let's say, very political. What is your stance on high school athletes taking a knee during the national anthem?
Well, historically, Americans have always stood up for the national anthem and placed their right hand on their heart. And when people start to kneel like this guy right here, it just simply aggravates me.
Very good points from both of you. To kick off our show, we will start with our weekly game of late night debate tweets. All right, our first tweet is from @OwenWilsonSays. Wow. And they say, Colin, how has your record been after kneeling?
Well, it hasn't been. Next question.
Okay then, that must have been a bit of a sore spot. Our next question comes from @ODGFYWEQOI. Abigail Adams, aren't you supposed to be dead?
That's none of your business. Go away.
All right, so we're getting a little personal with these questions. Let's get back to our actual topic. The next tweet is hey, my name is Trey and I have a basketball game tomorrow. Asks, did anyone inspire you to kneel?
Yes, I've been inspired by many civil rights activists like Martin Luther King.
And this one is for Abigail. Pilgrim Girl Forever wants to know, if you were president, would you propose a law to make it illegal to kneel during the national anthem at sporting events?
Yes, I'm a big supporter of standing for the national anthem, and anyone who says otherwise, I strongly disagree with.
Oh, there's our time for this game. We will continue this interview debate after the break. Welcome back, everybody. Now let's get down to business. So, Colin, you believe high schoolers should be able to have the option to kneel or stand during the national anthem. Why do you feel this way, specifically?
Well, Jimmy, obviously I'm a black man, and
Wow, I never saw that one coming. Plot twist.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's reel this back in. Colin, as you were saying.
As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by this crooked old housewife. As high schoolers, they are very young and are still trying to figure themselves out. And if they cannot feel safe to express themselves peacefully amongst their peers, then that is a disadvantage to them and the school by limiting their diversity and open-mindedness. They are simply exercising their right to free speech, and it was peacefully too. These young activists are not doing anything illegal, violent, or immoral, and thus forward should not be punished for using their constitutional right. Plus, the U.S. flag code only says that one should stand, not must, should stand for the national anthem, making it optional. However, when people disregard the other U.S. flag code laws, no one seems to give a crap. Did you know, according to Article 4 in the U.S. Flag Code, Paragraph 8, Article D, and I quote, "The flag should never be used as wearing apparel, bedding, or drapery. So when you wear the American flag on clothes, it actually disrespects our flag."
Well, that's the thing. When they're kneeling, they are disrespecting the people that fought for their freedom of speech.
But that's the thing. You can't decide how they use those rights. They go into the army and very, very honorably fight for the right to free speech, the right to sit or stand. If we limit free speech in any aspect of the United States, we begin to lose the very foundation of what our country fought for in the very beginning. And I say the United States cannot be united until there are equal civil rights for everybody. Even Ben Franklin says, "Without freedom of thought, there can be no such thing as wisdom, and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech."
Very, very interesting. Abby, why do you feel like kneeling during the national anthem should be against the rules?
Great question, Jimmy. I think high school students should not be able to kneel during the national anthem because it is disrespectful and morally wrong. I was reading an article about Judge Roy Moore that was on some sketch website, but I found it on a more reliable one, so it's okay. So yeah, Judge Roy Moore was a former state judge of Alabama, and he said, quote unquote, "As a West Point graduate and Vietnam veteran, I know what it means to stand for our flag, defend our country, and keep the freedoms America represents around the world. Kneeling during our national anthem not only demonstrates a lack of patriotism for our country, but a disrespect for the rule of law. Title 36 of the United States Code, Section 301 states that all persons present during the national anthem should face the flag and stand at attention with their right hand over their heart. I fully support President Trump and Vice President Pence in asking all Americans to stand for our flag during the playing of our national anthem, out of respect for our laws and of all those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country." He has a lot of credibility because he's a former judge of Alabama and has a lot of experience in politics.
Oh yeah? Well, kneeling has nothing to do with the veterans. People aren't trying to disrespect them, but instead stand up for what they believe in.
Really, Kaepernick? Those actions are perceived as disrespectful to the veterans and those who are currently fighting for our country. Bam!
What an intense first part of our debate. Now let's brighten up the mood and play a short game. Okay, so for this segment, it's called Pie in the Face. It's basically pie in your face without the pie and just the cream.
Because that totally makes sense, right?
Yes. So, this is how you play. If you complete your turn without getting hit with the whipped cream, your score doubles the points that you spun. But if you get hit, you score no points, and then the next person goes again. All right, Colin, you're up.
Sick, bro. Okay. Yum. All right, I'm gonna spin 4. Okay.
So get out of it.
I'm eating this.
All right, so Colin Kaepernick did not win the first round. Abigail Adams, you are up. All right. So, Colin Kaepernick has 0 points. Let's see how much Abigail Adams can get.
Oh. Did God put more on there? 4.
Or again.
I'm actually scared. 2.
I want to
3. 4.
Hey! Abigail Adams has 8 points.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick is up again. Oh, there's already a
I'm gonna crush you, Colin.
Alright, if your elderly butt can keep up with me. 2.
Alright. And Colin Kaepernick still has 0 points, while Abigail Adams has 8. Alright, Abigail Adams, you are up again.
That's it?
We will do one more round after this. 2.
Oh my!
Abigail Adams getting lucky again.
Dude, I want to get hit.
Now she has 12 points, while Colin Kaepernick still has 0. Going into our third round, Colin, what do you have to say about this round?
This feels like my record with the 49ers.
Yeah, you could.
2. All right.
You could get a better record with anything because you set the bar so low.
I feel roasted.
2. All right.
Come on, Adams.
Abigail Adams is up for her last round. The score is 12-4.
2.
Dang it! Okay. Well, Abigail Adams did not get hit in the face with whipped cream, whereas Colin Kaepernick got hit like 2 times. Okay.
Ha! Kaepernick, take the L.
Yes, Abby, I know.
Round. Let's total up the points and see who won. Congratulations, Abigail Adams. You won our second game. All right. So now we will continue the debate after the break. Okay, guys, we are back and we have so much more to share, starting with Colin. Colin, I'm not sure if you have heard of this, but there are schools that will punish kids for kneeling during the anthem. Your thoughts?
Yes, Jimmy, I had heard of that. According to economists at Parkway High School in Louisiana, Principal Bates threatened to bench or cut players that elect to kneel during the national anthem. It is actually against the law for public schools like this to limit a student's free speech. As I said before, and as we all know, our amendments say that we have the right to free speech. Principal Bates, as an employee of a public school, is an arm of the state, and therefore these public schools have a legal obligation to allow these youth to have free speech.
But these schools may not want these kids' actions reflecting on them as unpatriotic. And they should be able to have some control over their, I guess you could say, image.
But does the school want to seem patriotic at the risk of being oppressive and mistreating their students? Schools earn a reputation by showing how they respect their students and their beliefs.
So, Abigail, do you think that high school kids have a reason for kneeling during the national anthem?
Wow, another great question.
Stop flirting with the host and get down to business.
You're irrelevant. Many high school students don't really have a purpose for kneeling, but instead they're just following a trend. I read another article and it was about high school students and why they stand or kneel. It was very interesting to read because one of the kids' articles or sections really stood out to me. His name was Trenton Faulkner and he's 18. And he said, I really chose to stand to show respect to everyone who is in service, who is in duty at the moment. They give us so much and they get so little. The national anthem, the pledge, it's all showing respect to people during their duty overseas in order for us to have freedom to protest. I simply agree with everything he just said in this section. There are people who are sacrificing their lives so we can enjoy the luxuries in our lives, which, while they experience the cruel and gruesome things that we don't ever want to. Trenton also stated that kids who kneel in high schools are just following a trend and may not spend their time educating themselves about the topic. As a high school student, he has ethos. His points are based off the target audience, and he is surrounded by high school students 5 days a week, at least. So having insight for a high school student himself, it is true that many kids are just following a trend.
Dude, but there's no way you can tell people's true intentions by whether or not they're kneeling or standing. You cannot know what's in their heart. Simple as that.
But many of the kids haven't experienced things in life that give them a strong reason behind kneeling. Some kids are just too young to understand the topic or this controversial subject. Others just don't have a reason behind their actions and are just simply following what other kids are doing. Here's a clip of a mother talking about her daughter's class and how this kid won't stand for the pledge. Let's take a look.
We have a young man in my daughter's school who won't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. When asked about it, he said, because I don't have to, because the football players don't. I don't think he understood, what the background and what the purpose was, and it comes off as being anti-patriotic.
How crazy is that? Again, kids are just imitating the people they look up to or just following what their friends are doing. It's like if I saw Jimmy Fallon with his awesome mustache, and I thought, wow, he's cool, and then I go out and grow my own mustache too.
Okay, well, very good points from the both of you again. We'll get back to you after the break. So, as many of you should know now, the reason Colin takes a knee is to show how he feels that America doesn't support minority groups. Obviously, many people are very against this action. Do you think there are other reasons people discourage your actions?
I think the majority of people aren't supportive of me because of the situation, how I kneeled during the national anthem. But I also do know there is a group of people that are more against why I'm kneeling so much as when I'm kneeling, and they use it as a cover-up for their racist ideals. I mean, I was watching the Cowboys play the Arizona Cardinals, and they kneeled before the national anthem, before it. But the crowd still roared and booed and jeered at them. And after that, they went back to the sidelines and stood for the national anthem. Take a look.
Fans, please rise and remove your hats. Our field flag will be unfurled by armed services, volunteers, and veterans.
I mean, the national anthem had not even started yet. So are these high schools more against the reason of the movement or the actual action?
But some of these players and students just want attention for kneeling. It is blown way out of proportion, and football is for entertainment, not somewhere where you can express your civil rights that might be offensive.
But how would you know if they want attention? This idea is not blown out of proportion, and I don't blame you for thinking so. Because as a white man, there are a few instances where you might experience racial profiling. Prejudice, of course. We all experience prejudice, but not profiling. And if we're talking about proportions, how about according to Washington Post, African Americans account for a mere 24% of those fatally shot and killed by police, despite being only 13% of the U.S. population. I see brothers getting popped by the police and the ops just get away with it, because many don't care about brothers getting shot. Well, my brothers in the NFL and in high school have a huge platform on TV and in their schools amongst their peers, and can show their unity against civil injustice by taking that knee.
Good stuff, dude. Double A. Get it? Abigail Adams. Double A. So, do you think there are other factors to why people are against kneeling?
Yes, Jimmy, I do. A huge factor that really tickles my buttons is that people are choosing to kneel during the anthem, which is not the time nor the place to express their beliefs about political issues or controversial subjects. I came along a video with 2 retired Navy SEALs, and in the video they talk about their perspective on kneeling. Let's watch the video.
I'm never going to kneel for the flag. I'm always going to stand for the flag. I respect the flag. The flag stands for freedom. I went through a horrible life when I was growing up. There was some racism thrown my way and stuff like that, but it doesn't mean that I'm not free. That doesn't mean that. There's bad people everywhere. I can't control that. I can't control my actions. I can't control the fact that how I fight racism is being the baddest person on the planet Earth. That's how I fight it. If you want to get to somebody's head, don't kneel. That shows cowardice. That shows weakness. Stand up, face the challenge.
Both Marcus and David disagree about kneeling for the national anthem. They mentioned that kneeling shows cowardice because no one goes into battle sitting on their butts or kneeling, but instead standing straight, tall, and brave. Marcus talked about how the anthem is a song for everyone, and it is quote-unquote a call to Americans. It's a song about the country's pride and unity. Now, it makes no sense to sing it when half are sitting and half are standing, because that doesn't show unity. Football is a huge part of America and is one of the times where we get to stand and show our respect. Many Americans look forward to Sunday football, but when people kneel, it resonates differently than what they think. Therefore, kneeling at high school, college, or NFL games is not the right time nor the place for expressing these beliefs.
But if that's not the place, then what is? How else can they use their platform?
There are many different places and times to express these ideas or beliefs. Peaceful protest at an event specifically for that subject that isn't offensive is a perfect option. I feel like instead of pitting themselves, maybe put those thoughts into actions. That's just an idea. Also, I went to a Bell and Valley Christian varsity football game. All the speakers went out before they could play the national anthem. We all stood facing the flag, waiting for the technician guy to fix the speakers, but he eventually never fixed them. All of a sudden, we hear the national anthem, but it wasn't coming from the speakers. It was coming from the players on the field. They were all joined together singing the national anthem. Both teams were. Then the crowd joined in, and everyone at the San Jose City College was singing the national anthem. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed in my life. In that moment, it didn't matter what color, sex, age, or even what team you were there for, but instead everyone was American.
All right then, very insightful points from the both of you. Do you have any concluding thoughts that you'd like to share or leave our audience with?
Yes, thank you, Jimmy. If people like Martin Luther King, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and so many others hadn't taken their stand against unequal treatment, what would the world be like today? But not just those people could do it alone. No, without the support of the youth and others, there would have never been any change. And what is the world without change? Without allowing these freedoms of speech, we limit progress. And if we limit progress, what is the world? I urge you all to do your part in fighting for equality for everyone. No matter whether it's kneeling or if it's a protest, whatever you are called to do, take action.
And you, Abigail?
First of all, I'd just like to thank you for inviting me on your show. It was truly amazing. I wanted to finish up and say that if all of us stood up for the anthem, there would be less hate and arguments about this controversial issue. If everyone stood up, then we would all be more united in our country, and at this moment, we really need that. I urge everyone to stand for America, for the troops, and for our patriotism. Let's make America more united again.
Well, thank you both for coming. Colin Kaepernick and Abigail Adams, everybody. Thank you for everybody who tuned in to our show tonight. It has been a blast. Now, stay tuned for an all-new episode of Late Night with Seth Meyers coming up next at 12:30 after the break.